Yo, what's going on gamers? It's Ryan 6 days a week, and we built a plus 70% action speed Slayer fighter. Now, the goal for this build was to take the standard rules of Slayer fighter set in our other video, so high movement speed and plus flat damage on the pieces that can roll them, and then commit entirely into high dexterity and action speed, without having any consideration for strength or health. As a result, we were able to get plus 70% action speed solo with Adrenaline Rush activated. And yeah, this thing absolutely rips. For those who have never experienced a high dex build, you should also know that action speed affects many of your character's animations, so your crossbow reload time is going to be pretty insane as well. Now, since we have relatively no strength at all in this build, we're going to stick with the arming sword and short sword combo. And of course, use the right click, left click attack sequence to maximize our DPS, essentially skipping the final swing in both the weapon. Another great feature of action speed is that it increases your weapon draw and stow time, as well as consumable usage animation. Not the actual circular loading wheel, but the animation itself. The weapon draw time is really important since you can catch your opponents off guard the moment they stow their weapons to chase you. Now, for skills and perks, we have Slayer, dual wield, sword mastery and combo attack, and skills, sprint and adrenaline rush of course to maximize that action speed. And for gear, well, if you can't tell from the picture, it is all primarily statted dexterity gear, with action speed as a secondary role. At the time of this video, this gear was actually very cheap, which is what got me interested in this build originally. Expect to spend around 50 to 100 gold per piece of gear. Now, enough talking about the build, let's take a look at the PvP. With this build, basically treat yourself as a better rogue. No joke, you're going to attack much faster and deal more damage than a rogue with daggers. And you'll have slightly more reach too, as you can see in this first clip. Now when I say think of yourself as a rogue, that also means you have to pick the same targets a rogue would pick. So, avoid PDR heavy characters and any character that could one-tap you. Also, avoid prolonged range fights. Even though you have high reloading speed on the crossbow, a triple shot, or even just a double shot with a longbow, can be the end of you. So yes, use the tools that you have, give yourself an advantage before any melee confrontation, even though you may be confident that you could just simply 4-tap some characters. With the way armor works in this game now, you're going to run into some pretty heavy PDR characters, even if it doesn't look like it. This next fight is a great example of at least using the environment and your crossbow to outtrade a PDR fighter before closing in for the melee trade. And well, honestly, I could have waited even longer. Baited out more HP with the crossbow and thrown utility before actually closing in. The random armor rolls that appear on gear now has essentially doubled as of the last wipe, so people are going to be a lot thicker than you'd expect, even if their gear does not look like it from first glance. We did get a little bit lucky there. As you can see, they hit her hand on that last exchange. If it was a headshot, it would have been dead. Now this next clip, I really want to use it to highlight the importance of jumping and then swapping your weapons to create space, as it could be a lifesaver. Momentum is conserved while you're in the air, so if you are slowed, or slowed by hit effect, you won't actually feel the slow until your legs touch the ground again. Take a look at it again in slow motion to see how it creates space so the bard whiffs their first swing. Overall, I'd say high dexterity is very strong on the Slayer fighter. Pay attention to the rest of these fights. I'll probably stop the commentary here, and just notice how I try to capitalize on any mistakes the enemy makes, whether that be swapping weapons or simply chasing for too long. People really don't expect the attack speed you can get with a fighter class. I do have to say though, use doors to your advantage. You're going to be able to reload your crossbow extremely quickly and get some valuable poke damage off. I know a lot of these fights that I'm showing end with the 4-hit short sword arming sword combo, but it really is the crossbow that wins us the fights. Now, balance stats are probably going to be a lot more PvP effective, but hey, this is a pretty fun video to make, and I think it's cool to check out building tall in dexterity as a Slayer fighter. Next video, we are going to dump into vigor, health, PDR, and strength as a Slayer fighter and ignore dexterity and movement speed completely, just to see how it works. Again, thank you as always for watching, and stay to the end of the video if you want to see how I end up losing this kit, which I do in a pretty bad way. I overcommit to a fight, but hey, you'll check it out at the end. If you want to see the actual process of gearing up, and while building these kinds of kits, I do stream it on Twitch. I just didn't think it was a good format for YouTube videos since it is kind of long, and somehow Twitch chat always convinces me to play marbles, so the actual footage is a bit broken up and a little more distracting. Anyways, thank you as always for watching, and I'll see you in the next video.